So I was engaged once. Sometimes I forget, or sometimes I think about it. I'm like, wow, that's wild. I was engaged once. It was about 9 years ago at this point. I was head over heels because I thought that I was unlovable. I thought, who would ever want to love me? Who would ever want to make me their wife? I was dirty. I had been way too promiscuous. I had done way too many sins that, like, being a church person, a church girl, the daughter of a pastor, I'm like, man, I've done way too much. Like, I have done a lot. I had battled sex addiction. I had gone through life itself. I had a kid really young. And now my child had disability and I was taking care of him. And so I was like, this is a lot for a person to take on. Who, when they hear my story, why would they want to be in contact with me, in connection with me? Like, what would make them say, yes, that is a good girl? Like, I still want to be a part of her life. Like, what would make a person want to do that? And I was like, no, there ain't no way that somebody would be interested in me because of my situation. Not to mention that for years, I had been struggling with the fact that I knew I was a really beautiful girl, but I had this weight issue, right? And with this weight issue, I was just insecure about who would want me because, to be honest, a lot of the people who wanted me were like super old men, like super old men, and that wasn't my vibe. Kudos to anybody who likes to date older men. That was just not my vibe, and those seem to be the only type of men who are attracted to me. And so I was really at a loss. I was kind of like in despair at the fact that I'm like, wow, like who is left? Like who is going to want me? Who is going to want to be with me? And I'm a girl from Toronto. And so, well, I'm from the outskirts, but for simplicity, I'm a girl from Toronto. At this time, I was living in Toronto, and a lot of the men just weren't interested in me for anything other than just sex, just using me, just being with me in that way. And so it didn't really leave a lot of hope for me to believe that marriage was something for me. It might have been something that I wanted, but I'm just like, no, like, you're too damaged. I had a boyfriend, my very first boyfriend, Kofi, and he used to take the bus down to where I lived. It used to be like maybe a two hour bus ride to where I lived, and we just connected on so many different things. We had a lot of things in common. We both felt kind of like isolated from our family, but also responsible, and like there were so many things that we had to do, and so we clicked on just different levels. And he was the first person I was intimate with after the gang rape, and he was the one who made it feel safe again to be in the arms of somebody, and I truly loved him. He was the first boy that I really loved. And one day I had been changing. I had been trying to get into church and do all that stuff, and so I said to him, I was like, hey, how about like when you come over, we just hang out and watch movies. Like, we don't sleep together, right? And he was kind of just like, why would I do that? Why, why? Why would we change the good thing we have right now? Like, why would I do anything other than that? And it hurt my feelings because here I'm thinking this boy is like amazing and we have so much in common and we had been through so many different things together, and he had known about the molestation from my aunt's boyfriend, and he was really supportive, and like he knew my history and he was still there. He still knew that I was just a messed up girl and he was just trying to be a part of my life as much as he was messed up too. And I really, really thought like this is my best friend, and he downright refused to do something other than sleep together. It was almost like, how dare I suggest something different? Anyways, it hurt my feelings, and we broke up because of it. Because then it just made me feel used. And him making me feel used was just as bad, or if not worse, than the men who had raped me. Because I'm like, they don't even know me, so I can't even get mad at them. But you know me. You know my heart. You know my character. And this is how you think of me. So because that was my first interaction, everything else after that was seen through that lens of I'm not good enough, or I'm only wanted for this part of me. And if it isn't for this part of me, then they're not going to want to be around me. They're not going to want anything from me. And when I found this, I don't even know how it kicked off, but there was this Instagram trend, and back then you can get this app. It was called Kick, and I'm from Canada, but it was like an American app that they used. And there's these different like Instagram pages where you can like post up different people, and you can kind of like talk about like, are they cute, are they this, or they that, and it just follows different trends. I don't even fully remember how it went, but anyways, one day there was this guy, and his shirt was up, and he had some abs, and he was cute, and I was like, oh snap. And so I commented on his picture, and then I actually found his Instagram, and I had commented there as well. And he had asked me where I was from. I said I'm from Canada. And he said, oh, it's too bad you're not from around here, because I'd love to see you, or something like that. And I was like, sir, don't tell me I love to travel, which I do. I am a traveler at heart. And so we started talking. And I think we started talking in like January of, oh, I don't remember the year, y'all. I'm so sorry. But within a few weeks later, I was already booking a trip to go out there. Me and my friend were booking a trip to go out to New Jersey so I can go meet this man, because it was just too good. Like, the conversation was great. He was super sweet. Like, everything was flowing. Man, he was my dream boy at the time. He said everything right. He did everything correct. He felt like a safe space. And he really liked me. And I was like, man, he's super cute. We can hold a conversation. It doesn't get dry. He's not stupid. Like, this is good, right? And the only issue at the time was that, like, his phone would sometimes get cut off. He was a great person, but sometimes his phone would get cut off, and it just left for a sucky time. And so, I booked a trip out there. We finally, this whole time, me and him are talking. Now, we did have ups and downs. We certainly had some ups and downs. And y'all, this is a quick plug. If you want to know the full story, read my book. Like, get a copy of it, because the story's in there. And our story is interesting because I literally just put in, like, sometimes we would talk by email when his phone would get cut. And so all those email conversations, I put them in just as is. Like, I didn't change nothing. I just, grammar mistakes and all, y'all, I put it in there. Because you know what? Life is not perfect. And I might have cleaned up a little bit, but I kept most of them as is. Now, sometimes it makes for, I mean, the writing police, please. But I'm like, life is not perfect. I understand why books should go through editing and be polished, but at the same time, this is a conversation between me and another person, and we know when we have conversations, we don't always do things correctly. So, if you want to hear the story, grab the book and listen to the story. But for now, let me speed it up a little bit. So we went out there, and my friend and I, and it was just like a scene from the movie. Ran to his door. It was raining outside. I knocked on the door, wondering if he's going to be home, because it had been hours. He was like waiting for me. We had been delayed and all this stuff, and he came to the door, and he was so good looking. He just took my breath away. He did. And then he held my hand, and he hugged me, and it was just a beautiful moment. It had been a while since I had been like properly cared for by somebody, and he had been a step up from the other person I was talking to that was just not working. And heartbreak after heartbreak, I was really just trying to manage all of these like expectations. But this man truly was something refreshing at this time. And so we saw each other, we met officially in April. And by June, I had gone back to do New York Fashion Week. I was going to attend it because I wanted to just see what this New York fashion thing was about. I love fashion. And especially being plus size, I'm like, I love plus size fashion because we need to, I'm so tired of girls being curvy, thicker, whatever, and never having the right clothes to wear. Like, it always fitting super stupid. Like, they don't think that we could be sexy or none of that. And I was just so tired of it. So anyways, I went out there for New York Fashion Week. And, yeah, I got engaged. He proposed to me. And it was beautiful. It really was. It really was. I tried to hide it as much as I could from people. But I ended up, people ended up finding out. I mean, my mom and them found out. And I think that they were really shocked that I didn't tell nobody. Or really shocked that it happened. That it kind of just, like, happened so quickly. But I was over the moon about it. Now, as I got into, the stuff with my son, and then God had told me that I had to break up with my ex, it then was a really interesting time. I was engaged for about maybe 8 months before I broke off the engagement, before I walked away from the one thing that I wanted the most. And I walked away because I needed to. At the time, I had made a deal with God that I was laying down my life for my son. And one of the things that God had told me was the man that I was engaged to wasn't for me. And back then, I didn't understand anything about, like, being obedient and all that. And I was just like, hey, if this is what God said, if God is the one who runs the world, and God is the one who told me that he is not my husband, then I should probably just listen to that. And I'm like, my thought logic was, I need God to heal my child. Nothing else matters, and nothing else is going to come in between that. And so, yeah, I let go of my engagement for my son because I'm like, my son is the most important thing. And some people thought that I didn't really care about him because I let him go so easily. But if you had to pick between your child, the thing that matters most to you in this whole world, and a relationship, what would you pick? I picked my child, and I have no regrets about it. And so the breakup was really challenging. I was focused on my kid, but I also did have feelings. And he was devastated. And I spent a lot of time consoling him. I spent a lot of time making sure that he was okay. I spent a lot of time making sure that his feelings weren't too hurt, or that he wasn't too caught up in anything, or that he was going to be okay, that he wasn't suicidal. Like, I spent a lot of time making sure that this man was okay after the breakup. More so than I did thinking about my own feelings. Because it was just like, it was my son that was important, and then it was him that I needed to, like, be okay with the fact that I needed to step away. And losing somebody who, I wanted to be there was challenging. But then when I think about something as small as my son's funeral, this is a man who was ready to step into stepdaddy mode. This is a man who called my son like his own. All of this. This is a man who finally got his passport together at the time that I broke up with him. And so when my son passed, within 6 months, or 6 months after the diagnosis, I guess a part of me expected for him, if he's saying he cares so much, a part of me expected that he would come down. Now, he never showed. And he never came to the funeral. And honestly, it made me really feel like I made the right decision. It was like, when I was in the thick of it, it was like, this man's amazing. This man is everything I ever wanted. All of this stuff. But you know the one thing I couldn't foresee, and the one thing that most of us can't foresee? How do they behave when tragedy strikes? How do they behave in stressful situations? How do they behave when life hits? Are they the ones to be strong? Are they the ones to be the backbone? Or are they the ones to fold? I found myself putting more effort into making sure he was okay than being able to focus on myself and my child. Like when I first got the diagnosis, I had called him and he was so distraught. And that's not to say you can't be distraught, but I found myself being the one trying to like calm him down, like, it's okay, don't worry about it, and all this stuff, versus him being like, yo, I got you in prayer, and just being the man that I need him to be. And in that moment that he didn't come, if anything else had been a haze, I knew in that moment I had made the right decision. Because this is not the only time that we may go through a challenge together. And if in this challenge, this man could not stand up, that means that we weren't going to make it the distance. He wasn't going to be there every other time, and I could not be the man in the relationship. A man's role is a man's role. My role is to be me, is to be the woman in the relationship, is to be feminine, is to be the one who needs protecting, is to be the one who supports in words and everything else. And just like, I could not take on both roles. And so as much as it may not have made sense in the beginning why God had asked me to leave, within 6 months it made all the sense in the world. And since then, it has continued to make sense to me as I healed, as I went through the process, as I went through the journey. Every time him and I have like connected again, he's been like, well, I wanted to go through that journey with you. We would have healed together. But here's the thing. Healing is a one-person thing. Even in group sessions, healing is a one-person thing. I can't heal for somebody else, and they can't heal for me. We can encourage each other, yes, but I still have to make the decision to heal. That I'm not going to just heal because all of a sudden I have somebody with me. No, I have to make the decision that I'm going to heal regardless of who's with me. And understanding that, I understand that, yes, it was cool being engaged. It was cool to finally get a ring and go through all those stages, but you know what's cooler? What's cooler is having peace. What's cooler is sustainability. What's cooler is, yes, knowing that I loved, but that I loved me enough that I was able to walk away. That I was able to see, with God's help, of course, I was able to see that there was something out there for me, greater than what I was settling for. And the reason I was settling for him is because he had been the first to show love. And because he was the first to show love, I thought that's all I was capable of. I thought that was the best I could ever get. I thought that there'd be nothing else like it, like that I had to settle for this, because if I missed this, I would miss out on love completely for the rest of my life. And that turned out to be an absolute lie. That the love he had for me was great, it was beautiful, but it was just the beginning of what God was willing to show me, that there is, and will be a man who is everything and more that I could ever hope for, the protector, the provider, somebody who loves me all the same, like I don't have to do all of this, and love is not in vain, that I don't have to settle, that I really can choose, I really do have options, I really do have the ability to thrive for more. My beauty, my weights, my looks don't dictate the category or the type of man that I have to take on. I will wait for God's best. And that honestly is the thing that set me free. And so it's been about maybe 9, 10 years at this point. And honestly, it has been an amazing journey. I know. We were just like, oh, singlehood. But singlehood has been good to me. It has allowed me to heal without worrying about someone else's feelings, without worrying about how they're going to think, without fussing about, they don't know this about me and this is a secret. Like, I've gotten to heal openly and truly, and it has been beautiful. I would say for anybody who is worried about walking away, who is thinking that there'll never be anything else, I promise you there is. And I know you're like, how? You don't have somebody yet. Yeah, but he's coming. He is on his way. And the freedom that I feel now is so much greater than the misery that I felt being in that relationship, thinking that this was all that love was. That thing that I was chasing for so long, like that's what it was. Love is great. Love is beautiful. Love is kind. Love is communication. Love is trust. Love is protection. Love doesn't have to be hard. Love doesn't have to be impossible. Love can be that fairy tale. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Cola. I am so excited that you are here. If anything I said today resonated, then get in touch with me. I have an amazing mentorship program. It is for those who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, going through grief. It is truly an amazing time. If you want more info, hit my website, lipsandlanguage.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can hit it up on the website or DM me. I have a free gift for you, and I would love to be in contact with you. Whatever you decide, just know that healing, it looks good on you. And I'm so excited that we get to do this journey together. Have a blessed day. And if nobody told you, I will. I love you. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.